Okay, so I'm going to be demonstrating a portrait. So I thought I would do a self-portrait. So this is the photo that I'm working from, and I've already gone ahead and done the drawing onto the watercolor paper. I've got my paints ready, so let's get started. So generally when I do a watercolor, I tend to work in a number of layers. So the first layer is really a kind of laying the foundation, as it were, and then I subsequently build on that, allowing the paint to dry at each stage. So this first layer is very, very loose, and it doesn't really sort of look like anything much as such, but it's just helping me to really understand what I'm looking at, and kind of starting to kind of put some of that colour down. Okay, so let's get going. So I normally kind of start off with the eyes, and then I kind of work out from there. Okay, so really that's the first layer kind of done and dusted, and the most sort of wonderful thing about watercolours is, as you can see, some of the kind of areas where it all starts blurring in and sort of becoming a whole painting in a sense. So at this stage, as you can see, some of these areas are super wet. I kind of will allow that to fully dry. And once it's dried, I can then kind of start building and kind of really sort of bringing that face out of this kind of super crazy background. So at this stage, I can also just kind of refine little areas where I think maybe the colour doesn't need to go into. I can just lift that out at this stage. So some of these areas don't need to go so dark. So over the next sort of half an hour or so, I'll just kind of keep coming back and lifting some of these colours out, just so that I can maintain that face. The rest of it can flow. I don't mind about that at all. So in fact, I'm just maybe going to put a little bit more blue here. Just so it can start kind of yeah. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there, and we'll come back in maybe half an hour to an hour or so. So we'll pause the video and I'll join you back here in a little while. Okay, so that's now nice and dry. I've had left it for about sort of 45 minutes. So really now the next thing for me is to start really kind of working into the eyes and actually sort of bringing that face out of this kind of lovely sort of background and colour that I've put down. One thing you'll also notice is that how much lighter the watercolour has dried. So that is a kind of thing, the kind of the nature of watercolours is that they do dry a heck of a lot lighter than than when you first put them down. So you always have to kind of bear that in mind. So I'm just going to drop down to a slightly smaller brush. Okay, so I'm going to once again start with the eyes and really kind of work my way out from there. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone over the whole entire kind of painting more or less at least once again, apart from that kind of lower part, which I think I'm not really going to do too much to because it's here that I want the focus. So what I would do now is kind of almost allow that to sort of dry a little bit before I go back in and start doing a little bit more work. You know, I haven't really sort of tackled the nose and the lips, and I really need to kind of finish off the eyes. But at this stage, what I kind of tend to do is kind of take a little bit of a break and just kind of then come back to it after I've had maybe an hour away from the painting, just so that I can sort of, you know, keep it fresh really, because there's always a danger of things kind of very easily kind of getting overworked. So that's the plan, is to leave it for a little while. So once again, I will pause the video. Okay, so once again, that's nice and dry, and I can now go back in and start working on it again. So as I did last time, I will start with the eyes and then work my way out from there again. So let's just put a bit more paint out and let's get going.